Welcome back, guys. We are finally here. As you see on your screens, we are finally going to be talking about Marvel's Spider-Man 2. This is my official game review of this game. I'm going to be going into the story. We are going to be getting into spoilers. So if you guys don't want to be spoiled, I'm going to warn you later on in the video about it. But I'm going to get into my personal experience, the gameplay, everything of that nature. Now, I also am going to state a few other things that I've been seeing within the Spider-Man community or the gaming community, however you want to call it, and I'm going to get into that as well. So, hopefully you guys enjoy. Leave your thoughts down below, what you guys thought about Spider-Man 2 down in the comments down below. But without further ado, let's get right into it. So, first off, I want to get into the performance of these characters. This was absolutely incredible. So I gotta give Yuri Lowenthal, Najee Jeter a hell of a just a clap of hands here, man, because they did a hell of a performance. Laura Bailey, she did a hell of a performance as Mary Jane. Believing just with Yuri becoming the Black Suit Spider-Man and everything of that nature was just absolutely incredible. Even, what was going on in the story, even with Norman being very worried about Harry, you felt that emotion. Him being just distraught and everything of that nature. Even with Harry, that performance with Harry, getting to know this version of Harry and caring about him and wanting to save him. You felt that passion in this game. And I was so hyped to finally play this game. And the hype was real. I will say this: there was really no moment in the main story I was probably bored. There was some hiccups here and there with some side quests, but we'll get into that here in a little bit. But overall, just the performance, this is worth, I would say, an award for Spider-Man for the performance. Tony Todd as Venom, he freaking killed it. That, I firmly believe, was the right choice for Venom, for the voice of Venom. Yuri Lowenthal, he should get maybe 2 awards for the performance that he did as Peter Parker. Najee Jeter should definitely get a performance award as well. It was just absolutely incredible. Now, into the gameplay. Gameplay was great. Now, there are issues I do have with the gameplay, but I'm also going to get into some hating that I know I've been seeing on there too. Guys, trying to say, oh, the gameplay is the same is like saying that the Batman Arkham franchise is the same. It's going to be very similar or almost the same due to the same game mechanics. So if you guys don't understand that, then I don't know what to tell you. You're pretty much setting your own stuff up for failure. The only thing I did not like about the game mechanics was, one, you were having... I pretty much feel like the pairing was the main issue I had. The pairing was the main thing I did not really care for. I do understand the reason why Insomniac Games was trying to do that, make it a little bit different, especially with the foes you had to fight, like with Kraven, even Venom, even with some of the hunters in this game, and some of the other foes you have to face as well. It got to be where it was like, okay, it was just, you had to do it the correct way. Otherwise, you were going to lose some damage, which was, again, my main problem within the gameplay. Now, the swing was a lot faster. Being able to traverse in different areas, being able to explore was really amazing. Being able to do all these side quests. Now again, side quests I wasn't a big fan on. The Prowler quest I wasn't really too much of a fan of. Same thing with going after the hunter birds. I wasn't a big fan of that. Just trying to get data. That was kind of boring. Same thing with I would say the Mysterio quest as well. So again, Mysterio is in this game. I'm going to go ahead and say that now, but it's mainly Quentin Beck due to we get to see him in the story. There's some other characters that we get to see in the story as well, because I'm going to talk about story here in a minute. But overall, like I said, gameplay was overall very satisfying to the most of the degree. The only issues I had a few bugs here and there when you were playing some of the missions, whether it be Miles, Peter, or Mary Jane. Yes, there are about, I would say, 3 Mary Jane missions in this, but it's a lot different. Honestly, I think it's a lot better than the first game. It wasn't as tedious to have to hide all the time and have to wait to go to another position. You could actually fight enemies a lot quicker. Mary Jane is actually equipped with a taser. She has a little bit of that stable training from Silver Sable, as well as also she gets upgrades within the game. You get a couple web shooters, you know, like a web shooter on your gun, and then later on you get a almost like a sonic boom to go up against symbiotes, which again I'm going to talk about here as well. So again, guys, let's go ahead. We're going to talk about the story. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So if you guys don't want to know no more, click off the video. But the story itself, wow. We start off with Peter actually trying to be a teacher in Miles' class. Miles sees that there's an issue with the city. Peter and Miles swing into action, and they have to deal with Sandman. After dealing with Sandman, they finally realize Sandman was actually being hunted by Kraven, and it goes into months later where Kraven wanted an actually good hunt. He brings his entire crew to New York City, and he starts going after everybody. Now, again, spoilers. There are some off kills off screen, and I do like that they did this because there are so many villains in Spider-Man, and I'm glad that they're actually killing them off because it gives room for not only new villains but also old villains to kind of be able to be better. Now, we got to see where Kraven actually killed Scorpion on screen. He apparently killed Vulture, Electro, and even Shocker off screen. So that was kind of crazy. It's very, very hard to miss if you don't pay attention. There's two of them. You kind of see where he did kill Vulture if you listen to the tape. Same thing with Shocker. You have to be able to find it. Same thing with Electro on a Mary Jane mission. So you will miss it if it's not totally careful. So between Miles and Peter and Mary Jane, Genki, and even Rio, Miles' mother, that they all have to combine to be able to fight off against Kraven. So Kraven's going after everyone. He even goes after Black Cat, which she's trying to save her girlfriend in Paris, and she has to get this brand new device, and she somehow teleports herself over there with the help of Miles. So it's kind of interesting seeing that, and I do remember in the comics where Black Cat was by at some point, so again, that didn't really bother me too much. Same thing with, I would say, Rio actually having a, you know, new interest, you know, her dating and Miles having to deal with that. And then Miles finding out Lee got out, and then him being so obsessed with Martin Lee because of what happened to his dad, and him coming to terms with that, and not only with Peter trying to guide him, same thing with, you know, his mom, you know, trying to let go of that hate and that anger and that justice, and we do get to face off against him, and we get that revenge and that justice, but he still stops himself, and then later on, Miles does figure out that Lee does regret what he did, but at the same time, Lee also knows Miles is not going to be able to forgive him, but he's going to be able to move on. And we get to see that in the game where Lee does find out about Peter and Miles' secret identity later on in the game due to what happens. But it is confirmed, guys, Harry is going to be Venom. So what happens is Harry does get out of the tank, and when he does, he reunites with Peter and MJ, and then later on when they're at Coney Island, you see where things happen with the hunters, and then Peter needs help, and he actually gets help from Harry with the symbiote powers, and it almost becomes like an Agent Venom type of situation, and he helps Peter within a couple missions and a few side quests, especially before you progress on with the main story. You can actually have him help you within the side quests, or even just random acts to fight against villains in the city, which is really cool. And then after that, you even see Tombstone. He's reformed. He's working at Coney Island. You see Quentin Beck. He's reformed. He's working to try to be better. And it's really interesting because you get a lot of these villains that's trying to reinvent themselves and be better. So I actually enjoyed that. Now, at the same time, the reason how Peter gets the black suit is when he fights against Kraven, he actually gets stabbed, and when the suit knows that he's in trouble, and the suit goes from Harry onto Peter, and that's when he starts changing. Peter becomes, I would say, like the bully, you know, Spider-Man. He becomes very angry and everything of that nature. And when he's trying to save Doc Connors, we see where that's when Connors turns into the Lizard because of Kraven, and Kraven starts hunting him. And then we see where Spider-Man has to fight off against the Lizard and Kraven and be able to try to save Kraven, and that's when Peter just starts getting more and more and more into the suit. And when you get further in the story, you see how when the suit goes from that classic Spider logo into the more sinister type of look that Venom has. And you could see the symbiote moving as well on the suit, which is such great detail. As well as also where you see in the game when you're fighting and you get more and more further in the story with the symbiote, Peter is becoming more aggressive in his attacks, and that is true. Same thing with Miles. You know, Miles sees the difference in Peter. Mary Jane sees the difference in Peter. Mary Jane is trying to deal with the Bugle because if she does not get her job, she's not going to become an editor and she's possibly going to get fired. Peter is now living in Aunt May's house. He's behind on mortgages because of all the money, and also he did get fired from his job as a teacher, but that's when Harry came along and said, hey, I created Emily May Foundation and gives them a job, but then of course things start happening where they cannot focus on that. So there's a lot happening in this game where you really got to take a moment to actually soak into it and go, oh, damn, you know, this is what's going on. And what occurs is finally when we see where Connors does get saved by Peter, and it gets realized that Connors does know this is an alien life form that is called a symbiote, and it was found outside the city a few years ago. And what happens is that's how he lost his arm, was because it attached itself onto the arm, and he was working in Oscorp, and they had to shoot it off, and that's how he lost his arm. And then that's when he was also trying to worry about, you know, how to regrow a limb. You know, his family left him, and everything of that nature. Norman is no longer a mayor. He's been in seclusion. He's still a very rich person due to him running Oscorp. So he's still trying to find a way to save Harry by another means, but Peter thinks, okay, if we give Harry back the suit, it's going to work. Connor says no, and then that's when Peter is thinking about possibly giving him the suit, but it does not work, and that's when Peter goes further and further down into the hole. Now, what's crazy is when Miles tries to go after and help Peter, because the symbiote takes over so completely, where I felt like they mixed with Spider-Man 3 and even Venom, the movie, and even Ultimate Spider-Man, to where the symbiote took over Peter while he was asleep, and he even goes after Mary Jane. And Mary Jane has to fight in flight to kind of stay away from Peter. And then finally, when Peter doesn't even realize this, Miles gets captured by Kraven, and then he has to fight Lee in this gladiatorial type style, and we see where he still gets captured, and he has to boot Lee out and tell him go find the original Spider-Man. So even after all this, there was a moment in the game where, you know, you come in a room as Miles and you see all the hunters and you're like, oh crap, you know, and next thing you know, this kind of go through, it's like a buildup of something. You go in it, that's when you see the gladiator ring, I guess you'd say. And when he boots Lee out, he says find the original Spider-Man, and when he does this, Spider-Man still, the black suit Spider-Man still sees, oh damn, you know, like I'm going to take Lee down. But then he tells him that he's been captured by Kraven. And he even tells Peter, he reminds me a lot of you. Basically saying, he could have killed me, but he didn't. And he's basically like you, so you taught him well. And that kind of gives Peter a little bit of initiative to still go after Miles and protect him. And he almost loses control. And then we finally get to see the fight between Kraven and Peter. And Peter almost kills him. He does. Peter almost kills him. That's what Kraven wants. He wants him to kill him. Because in this version, Kraven has cancer. And he wants to die on his own terms. I believe it's cancer or some type of disease. Because we do find out through side missions of going through the Hunter bases where he's been talking to different relatives. And I think most of his relatives did die from another relative. And that's the reason why this occurs. So what we see is Kraven was want to die on his own terms. As soon as he's close to dying, Miles stops it, and Kraven is like, no. And then we see something that I did not think they had the guts to do here, guys. This fight between Miles and Peter. Miles actually saves Peter while he's in the damn suit. He takes it off, rips it off, and he's going to bring it back to Connors. And thanks to Miles, he finally was able to save himself. When he brings it back to Connors, that's when Harry gets a hold of it, because Harry goes off on Peter, and we see the transformation of Venom. We get to play as Venom, finally. With all the leaks we were seeing, yes, we get to play as Venom. It is confirmed. This was absolutely amazing. It reminded me of Ultimate Spider-Man when you got to play as Venom, when you even fought against Wolverine. That was beyond sick. I loved it. We finally get to see where he goes up against Kraven. Venom kills Kraven. And then he takes over the city. Now, while this is going on, we do see where Peter has to apologize to not only Mary Jane, Rio, Miles, everybody. While trying to do this, Venom is taking over the city. Now, when this happens, we even see where he tries to warn Mary Jane, Peter does, and Mary Jane doesn't get transformed to a symbiote, the one Scream. So we have to face against Mary Jane because Mary Jane's having a lot of negative energy because of everything that has occurred with Peter and her, and due to the fact of what Jonah's been having her do at the Bugle, and she regrets it, and then the issues with the house, issues with her book, issues with just being a reporter, issues with Peter. It finally all comes out in the open, and then that's when she's finally able to fight it off and save herself. But then we also see where Peter and Miles have to fight at City Hall, and looks like the symbiotes get to overtaking them, and then Lee shows up and helps him, but him and Miles go into Peter's mind to save him and get him out from all the negative thoughts of over and over again, every villain comes out and there's always an issue. And then we also see where his main doubts were what happened to Otto losing Aunt May, and that he feels like it was his fault and it wasn't. And then that's when Martin Lee realizes Peter Parker is Spider-Man. And same thing with Miles, and Miles and Lee come to an understanding. And then finally, when he wakes up, because Miles is like, Spider-Man, wake up, Spider-Man, wake up. And as soon as we get to see that, we get to see anti-Venom in Peter. We get to see the anti-Venom suit. And that's how Peter is able to fight against the symbiotes. And the symbiotes, the way they did this, they mixed the hive mind in the damn comics, guys. There's so much that they did in this game. Even gave Venom wings in this game. Because Martin Lee turns himself in to the cops. And that's when Miles and Peter go to fight off against Venom. After taking on the symbiotes, everything of that nature, making sure everybody's safe. They come up with an idea between Mary Jane, Peter, and Miles to take on Venom. And when they start fighting against him, unfortunately, they fight him off, and he's just overpowered. Like, literally from the comics, between the main one, who is, I would say, the king of the symbiotes. I can't remember his name off point, so if you guys know who I'm talking about, let me know down in the comments. Venom is controlling everybody, and what we see is him fighting against Peter, then Miles. They tag team. They're finally able to stop him. Harry is about ready to die. And it was almost the same thing with what happened with Aunt May. They are able to save him, but at the same time he goes into like a coma-like state, and he's barely keeping alive. So Norman does blame Spider-Man, like, what did you do? And he wants to start off with a serum that, obviously, if you guys know what I'm talking about, it's going to be called like G whatever, so it's going to be more than likely the Goblin serum. So he could be the Green Goblin, Harry could be the Green Goblin. We don't know yet until the third one is going to come out at some point. Now, Norman does go to get to see Otto at the very end of the game, which Otto is writing a book in his notes called The Final Chapter. Norman wants to know who Spider-Man is. Otto won't tell him. So we're going to be seeing that at some point. Then we also get to see everybody come together where they're having dinner. Peter wants to kind of take a break, probably / retire. He wants to go ahead and focus on the Emily May Foundation his own way, be able to start from the ground up, while he hands off the mantle to Miles to be Spider-Man at the moment. Same thing with Mary Jane. She quits the Bugle to focus on the truth of being a journalist, and she wants to be a podcaster. So it looks like she's going to be a podcaster now. So between her and Peter, they're going to be working as much as they can to get the house built up and everything of that nature. And at the end of the game, we get to see where Miles does hook up with Haley, his love interest, the one that was unfortunately deaf. And then also we get to see the reveal of Cindy Moon, aka Silk, who was also bit by the same spider as Spider-Man. So I'm wondering how exactly they're going to put this into the game for the third game, if she's going to be another one, because again, there's been rumors about possibly putting in another Spider-Man or Spider-Woman. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see what exactly they're going to be able to do and how they're going to do it, because there was rumors about Gwen Stacy, there was rumors about Silk, there was rumors about this and that. So overall, guys, the story was absolutely fantastic. We got to see, Wraith. We got to see, Yuri become Wraith, fighting against a cult group called the Flame, which later we get to be revealed that was led by Cleus Cassidy, aka Carnage, which his main goal was to get part of the symbiote that he found out, have a train derailed, and be able to take it. We get to see it turn red, and he leaves out in the middle of nowhere, so we don't know exactly. So now we got to worry about Carnage, Green Goblin, and Dr. Otto Octavius for the next game. So as of right now, Miles is going to be the new Spider-Man. There's a possibility of Cindy Moon becoming the new Spider-Woman, as well as also Peter staying in retirement, or he's going to be out of retirement depending on who he fights. Because now he's been Spider-Man for over 10 plus years. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see where exactly he's going to go from here. And he's wanting to focus on everything. Will we see a possible child with Mary Jane and Peter? Maybe. Will we see maybe other interests for Miles? Will we see other things happen with Peter? Will Cindy have a thing with Peter? Because I have one in the comics. What exactly is going to happen with Miles? A lot of people, I will say this, there's been a lot of comments on for Miles' character, like, oh, why do you get with Haley when you get with, you know, all these other girls in Brooklyn or this or that? Guys, that's the way they wrote it. It makes sense. It's a cute story. Deal with it. Same thing with Mary Jane. There was a lot of issues with Mary Jane's design. Guys, I gotta say this. There was no issues with Mary Jane's design. The model actor they have for her, she's beautiful. The character Mary Jane's beautiful. I think she looks better now than she did in the very first game, in my opinion. Miles looked like a badass. Peter, I know there was an issue with the face design after the remaster. I got over it. I think it was actually pretty good. Also, this issue that I also want to address before I do in this video, guys, because this was going to be a long video. And I'm going to say this, guys. I purchased this game by myself. For anyone that's out there saying, anyone that is saying this is a great game or game of the year or this or that, is one of those, not only a hater, but also, if you play the game, you didn't like it, fine, you didn't like it. But if you want to trash it, that's fine. But at the same time, I'm probably going to trash a game you like or trash something else you don't like. 9 times out of 10, if you're going to say the only people that are promoting this game are ones that got it for free, why are you saying that when you're being hypocritical and you're being paid for YouTube? I'm not getting paid for YouTube. I didn't get paid for this game. I wasn't paid by Insomniac to make this video. I wasn't paid by them to even say this is a great game. I was not paid by them to get the game early and say, oh, it's a great game. I'm not like that. So for anyone that may say that, there's the truth right there. If you don't believe me, that's on you. But I'm not going to sit there and have a good game insulted and say, oh, well, this is the only reason why it's a good game. No, it's not a reason why it's a damn good game. It's a good damn game because of the story, because of the characters, because of the actors that made this a great game. And same thing with Insomniac. Insomniac has done so damn good and well with this franchise. They know what they're doing. It makes sense. So stop acting like a dick and trying to say, oh, well, it's a horrible game, or it's trash, or it's this or that. It's the same fucking mechanics, just like freaking Batman Arkham Asylum. That was a great franchise. Same thing with this. This is a great franchise. If you don't get that, I don't know what to tell you. Another thing is the Mary Jane design. Get over it. It looks great. The Peter Parker design. I got over it. You can get over it too. The small shit, get over it. Was there bugs in this game? Yes, there was bugs in this game. It can be repaired. It can be patched up. There are other things in this game I can guarantee you they're going to work on. The game's only been out 3 days. Guys, I beat this with... I got the game on Friday. I got it on Friday morning. I beat it... By recording this video, I beat it on early Monday afternoon. The main story, I still got some other side quests I got to do, but I went ahead and gave it all my all for this review. If you like the game, great. If you don't, that's fine too. But at the same time, give the game a chance. So you don't have to listen to me. You don't have to listen to all these other people out here. But I'm going to tell you this also. Guys, I have stopped following people because of them getting free stuff, or because of them begging from companies, or because of them getting free stuff for PlayStation or Xbox, or from movies or TV shows, or from actors and actresses, or from game developers or companies. Because it's like, dude, I say something all the time and I don't get nothing for free, so why should you? That's the way it is. So I'm going to say this. Don't be a hypocrite and say all the other kind of things, and don't even call me one, because no, I don't get paid for this. I don't get paid for this video. I do not get paid for YouTube. I did not get paid for playing this game. I played this game because I'm a damn big fan of Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man. I love the franchise. There's a lot of things about Spider-Man I may not care for, but I deal with it. So if you're a Spider-Man fan, I highly suggest you play this game. I highly suggest you are able to try to afford this game. If you can't, then hold on to it. If you don't have a PS5, that's fine. If you still want to support the game. Watch a walkthrough of it. Look up a review for it. See if the game's for you. If you want to get a PS5 just because of Spider-Man 2, then by all means, that is your money. Don't let me or anyone else tell you can or cannot get this game. Decide for yourself. That is the reason why I do these videos. I don't tell you not to do something. I don't tell you to do something. I'm not going to control anyone's decision. I'm going to give you my opinion. If you agree with my opinion, great. If you disagree with my opinion, that's on you at the end of the day. We're all Marvel fans at the end of the day if you guys are like Marvel fans or Spider-Man fans. But at the same time, don't go out there and start dissing a franchise when you don't know how it works. You don't know how the game mechanics are. You don't know how this is. You don't know how that is. Is it the best game in the world? No, it's not the best game in the world. But it's still a damn good game. It's something I would definitely play again. It is something that I would definitely say in all regards is probably one of my favorite game franchises. It is probably in best regards of is it as good as I would say the Batman Arkham games? Yeah, I would say that too. But don't go out there and say, oh, well, it's the same. It's the same. What's the same? The game mechanics? Duh, because the same thing was with Batman Arkham Asylum franchise. It looks the same. No, not really. It does look somewhat the same, but it's still similar. They just upgraded the graphics because of the PS5. Again, know what you're saying before you say it. And you want to try to throw that at me, go ahead and try. But at the end of the day, you guys know what to do. If you guys enjoyed the video, like the video, subscribe, share this video out to your friends and family. Hopefully you guys did enjoy it. It was a little bit longer than what I intended, but either way, I did have fun going over it. I did have fun going over the story, had fun going over the gameplay, the mechanics. Again, this may not be a perfect game, but it's still a great game. Would I say this is game of the year? And honestly, yes, I would. I would say this is game of the year. Out of all the games I played this year, I would say this is game of the year for me personally. Let me know if you guys agree or not. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you as always on the very next one.